What is going on? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. How's everybody doing this morning? This is 717 Sports Chat Live, episode number 33. How's everybody doing this morning? Another cold day. We got a little bit of snow out here today in the 717 here in York, Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? I expected it to be a little bit more than what we got, considering how damn cold it's been. But it is what it is. You know, still nice to see a little bit of snow on the ground. I mean, everybody knows here, especially in the PA area, it's hard. It's been hard for us to get snow here lately and stuff. So it's a nice thing to see. You know, it feels like winter. You know, even though that cold air sucks. You know, who the hell wants to be cold? I know I sure don't. But it is what it is. That's part of the season. You know what I mean? But should be an interesting day. It's Friday. You know, got another day of work to knock down tomorrow as well. So then get my 2 days off. But once again, 717 Sports Chat Live. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, as well as hit that notification icon. Support is greatly, greatly appreciated. We're going to delve in here to these topics for today. We got some boxing news, some NFL topics as well. Of course, we got that big conference championship weekend we got ahead of us. Those two interesting matchups between the Rams and the 49ers and the Chiefs and the Bengals. Should be a fun weekend of football. Should be a fun weekend of sports in general. But we're going to delve in here to this first topic of the day. We're going to start with boxing. Boxing's biggest star, Canelo Alvarez, is torn between his two latest offers, which is between Dimitri Bivol and Jermall Charlo. So, it was reported a couple months ago after he defeated Caleb Plant that Canelo Alvarez, his team, he wanted him to move up and chase a fifth title at cruiserweight. It was all but set that a deal was already done and in place for him to face cruiserweight champion Ilunga Makabu for his WBC strap. That apparently has gotten scrapped, and now Canelo is looking to stay at between 168 and 175 pounds, the super middleweight and light heavyweight divisions, respectively. And apparently he's down to two offers, and the two offers he has is between middleweight champion, who is looking to come up, Jermall Charlo, and light heavyweight champion, Dimitri Bivol. Now, I will say this. I think the fight he should take and makes more sense is Jermall Charlo. Jermall Charlo has a more reach. He's more money. I think that's where Canelo is leaning for, is who's going to, provide him to more attraction, who's going to bring in more buys. Jermall Charlo fits that build. He has the city of Houston behind him a lot. He has a big fan base. And it's a lower risk fight. I think Dimitri Bivol is a way more dangerous opponent than Jermall Charlo. A lot of people will argue this fact with me, and you're welcome to do so. But the reason why I feel like Dimitri Bivol is way more dangerous than Jermall Charlo is, here's a couple factors. Dimitri Bivol is a light heavyweight. He's bigger. He's a bigger guy. Jermall Charlo is 160 coming up to 168. Now, don't get me wrong. He's a big 160 pounder. He should be fighting at 168 anyway. But, weight does matter. On top of that, in my opinion, Dimitri Bivol is a way more dangerous, skilled puncher than Jermall Charlo. Now, the comparison between Charlo and Bivol is that they're both fairly untested. Jermall Charlo, he gets a lot of hype as being this really good fighter, but if you look at his resume, he hasn't fought anybody. He hasn't fought anybody near the level of Canelo Alvarez. I wouldn't even say he's faced B-level competition. And the same can be said for Dimitri Bivol. Now, a lot can be said for both of them. All they're being avoided. Nobody wants to fight these two guys, in their respective division, but I don't believe that to be true. I think, if anything, Jermall Charlo has done everything in his power to avoid big fights, and Dimitri Bivol is more avoided than Jermall Charlo, in my opinion, at light heavyweight. For anybody in general between 160 and 175. I feel like Jermall Charlo has had ample opportunities to step up his competition and has chosen not to. With that being said, for Canelo Alvarez, I think the better choice were to beat Jermall Charlo. I think that's an easier fight. Like I said, you can argue with me in this fact. I don't think Jermall Charlo is that great of a fighter. I don't. And if you see in his last fight against Montoya, he has a lot of holes in his defense. And what does Canelo do better than anybody in boxing right now? He breaks you down, and he puts a lot of pressure on you. And that's exactly what Montoya did to Jermall Charlo. He was in Jermall Charlo's face that whole night, and it turned out to be a way better fight than what people expect Jermall Charlo to have. And that's why I think stylistically, that's the nightmare matchup, Canelo Alvarez for Jermall Charlo. That pressure. I don't think Jermall Charlo handles pressure well. But for Canelo Alvarez, that's the perfect fight. You get a guy who's going to bring in attraction. He's going to bring in the paycheck. He's going to bring in the money because a lot of people want to see this fight between Jermall Charlo and Canelo Alvarez. People want to see Jermall Charlo step up. Dimitri Bivol, unfortunately, he doesn't have the money, the source of revenue that Jermall Charlo can bring in. So for Saul Canelo Alvarez, I think that it would be the smarter option to take the offer with Jermall Charlo. Also because Jermall Charlo has been running his mouth for a while about fighting Canelo. And now here goes the opportunity. Like I said, I feel like Dimitri Bivol, being that he's the bigger man and the better puncher, and I feel like the more skillful puncher than Jermall Charlo, is a way more dangerous opponent. I think he has a better shot at beating Canelo than Jermall Charlo does. That's just my opinion. Stylistically, I just feel like Jermall Charlo doesn't have what it takes to match up with Canelo because of that pressure. He does not handle being pressured well, and Canelo pressures fighters better than anyone in the sport right now. So if I'm Canelo Alvarez, I'm choosing Jermall Charlo based on the fact that, to me, he's an easier fight. Bivol's the more dangerous fighter, but I think Canelo's looking for the paycheck, and I think he's looking for a guy who can bring in pay-per-view buys and bring in his own audience. And Jermall Charlo fits that bill compared to Dimitri Bivol. So with that being said, it's going to be really interesting to see what Canelo Alvarez decides to do. I was shocked that he pulled out of the whole cruiserweight bid. I really thought that he was going to move up and chase that 5th title. I think it is a smarter move for him to stay at between 168 and 175. At least right now, I don't see Canelo Alvarez competing well at cruiserweight. I think those guys are entirely too big for him. So it's the smarter move to stay within this weight range. I am a little bit disappointed that David Benavidez isn't getting his shot. It seems like he's getting passed over. But once again, he's kind of in a position of a Dimitri Bivol. Like, Benavidez in the boxing circles is, obviously well known and respected, and everybody knows how good he is and wants to see that fight. When you talk about bringing in a bigger audience and, a bigger fan base, he doesn't do that like a Jermall Charlo does. So with that being said, I personally think that Canelo Alvarez should choose Jermall Charlo. Boxing fans and casual fans and newer fans to the sport want to see that fight. A lot of boxing fans, and I'm not a Canelo fan, but I'll be honest, I want to see him shut this guy up. I do. You know what I mean? Because me personally, Jermall Charlo, like I said, isn't that great. I don't think he's that great of a fighter. He has a lot of bark, but his resume speaks for itself. He hasn't fought anybody near the level of Canelo Alvarez or even remotely close. Like I said, I can't even recall a B-level fighter that Jermall Charlo has fought. So with that being said, it's going to be really interesting to see who Canelo Alvarez chooses. I will assume that he will choose Jermall Charlo. I will be heavily shocked if he chooses Dimitri Bivol. I would like to see both fights. I like Dimitri Bivol. I think, like I said, he has the better chance between him and Charlo to upset Canelo and pull out a victory. But, we'll see. We'll see what direction Canelo Alvarez wants to take. But, I want to hear from you guys. Hit the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about this topic. Who do you guys see Canelo Alvarez fighting next? You guys picking Charlo? Or do you think he'll go Bivol? Or do you think he will shock us again and pick a completely different opponent? There is speculation that GGG is still on the table. I don't want to see that fight again. I just think GGG is too old at this point. There's still the option of maybe moving up to cruiserweight. So we'll see. We'll see what Canelo does. I know he's supposed to fight in May, so he has about 4 months to decide. So we'll see. But my honest guess will be Jermall Charlo. The money and the attraction is there, as opposed to Dimitri Bivol. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic, guys. Once again, if you're watching here live on YouTube, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification icon so you get all the latest content updates. Even if you're not watching on YouTube, you're watching Facebook, head over to the YouTube channel, show your support, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well, and hit that notification icon so you get all the latest content updates. Your support is greatly, greatly appreciated. All right, guys, we're going to move on to the next topic of this stream. We're going to stick with boxing. We have a few boxing topics here. Promoter Eddie Hearn has stated in a recent interview that heavyweight champion Tyson Fury, lineal heavyweight champion, I should say, Tyson Fury, doesn't want to fight newly crowned WBO, IBO heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk, and will instead choose to fight Dillian Whyte. I find these comments very interesting because I kind of feel like Eddie's kind of throwing some shade, kind of making it seem like as if Tyson's scared to fight Alexander. And I don't want to sit there and believe that. I don't think Tyson Fury is really scared to fight anybody. I think he's proved that. I mean, he fought the best puncher in the whole division, Deontay Wilder, 3 times. So, I mean, the way Eddie paraphrases this is quite interesting. I mean, he's doing what a promoter does, and honestly, I think he is the best damn promoter of boxing right now, other than Al Heyman and PBC. So, I mean, rightfully so. He's trying to get his guy that unification fight. But as we know in boxing, with all these damn organizations, these champions have mandatory challengers to uphold in contractual agreements with the organizations, etc. So, I mean, it's almost a certainty that Usyk, obviously, he's going to have to rematch Anthony Joshua anyway. And Anthony Joshua, we're going to touch on this here in the next topic, isn't going to take step-aside money. As well as Dillian Whyte isn't planning on taking step-aside money. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I just think it just makes more sense. Let these guys get their mandatories out the way. I think Usyk will beat Joshua again. I think Fury will dominate Dillian Whyte. And then I think in the wintertime, around fall time, winter time, or, this year, we'll get the unification bout between Usyk and Fury. But I mean, I'm not going to read too much into this. I mean, I just feel like Eddie's kind of throwing a little bit of shade, kind of making it seem like all Tyson's, ducking Usyk. And I don't think that to be true at all. I think, that they just both have to fulfill their contract obligations to their mandatories. You know what I mean? I don't think Tyson Fury is ducking Alexander Usyk at all. I think, honestly, that is the best fight in the heavyweight division based on skill. I would love to see that fight come to fruition. Hopefully, Usyk does win his rematch against Anthony Joshua. Got to keep that in mind that Anthony Joshua is still a very dangerous fighter. He has proven that he can come back and get his belt back before. So it's going to be interesting to see how it shake out. So you can't count out Dillian Whyte neither. So let's just get these mandatory out the way, get the mandatories out the way, and then worry about the unification later. But Eddie Hearn is just, he's just throwing a little shade, trying to sit there and make it seem like Tyson Fury is scared to fight his guy, and that isn't true. I will say this, though. If there is anybody in the division left, obviously he's not going to fight Deontay Wilder again. There's no reason to. If there's anybody who's the most dangerous, in my opinion, skill-wise, in the division to Tyson Fury's heavyweight crown, it is Alexander Usyk. So I will leave that at that. But again, I don't think that Fury's scared of him. I think Eddie's kind of trying to lean towards that a little bit, but I'm not buying it. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. And as I just stated, Anthony Joshua has declined the step-aside money offer to allow the Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury heavyweight unification bout to take place. I mean, it was reported a couple of days ago that both him and Dillian Whyte were offered step-aside money offers so that Fury and Usyk could unify the belts and, get their fight going. As we now know, we didn't get any news, at least I didn't see any news about Dillian Whyte formally declining, but we do have news, obviously, of Anthony Joshua declining. I said it. One of these two are going to decline, and that fight between Usyk and Fury is just going to have to wait. I already knew he was going to be the one, Joshua, to say no because he wants his belts back. He wants his belts back, and it's in the contract that he gets a rematch clause. So, I mean, this was expected, and I don't blame Anthony Joshua. Why would you take step-aside money, lesser money to step aside and let these guys unify when you can make more money going through with the rematch and possibly getting your titles back and put yourself in the position to become undisputed heavyweight champion and get that fight with Tyson Fury that he was supposed to get last year before Deontay Wilder obviously filed contractual aberration to put a pause on that fight because obviously in his rematch, in his second fight with Fury, there was a rematch clause in that fight. So, I mean, I don't blame Anthony Joshua. Smart move. Fuck that. Don't take the lesser money. You have a better chance trying to get your belts back and making more money, rematching Usyk. And then if you beat him, the upside, is tremendous because then you get the biggest fight in boxing, bar none. You get the biggest fight in boxing. The heavyweight championship of the world decided on one night. All the belts, all the marbles. Why would this guy pass that opportunity up to take lesser money? It makes no sense. So I agree with this decision by Anthony Joshua. I think it's a smart move. Like I've stated, make more money getting a rematch on with Usyk, and the potential upside is just too big to pass up. That's dumb. Why would I take less money so you guys can unify the belts and get all this big money? Because it's going to be a huge event overseas, especially. Why would I let you guys shortchange me so you guys could take the pot, and then I'll just wait on the back burner? Makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. So Anthony Joshua is smart for doing this, and in all honesty, I do want to see him rematch Usyk because I do want to see if Anthony Joshua can make the proper adjustments and possibly get his belts back. Because here's the thing. I said it in the first fight between Usyk and Joshua. The only thing Joshua had to do in that fight was pressure. Pressure. Be aggressive. He wasn't aggressive enough. Use his size. So if he can use his size to his advantage in this rematch with Usyk, I mean, he can very well win this rematch. You know what I mean? So I don't blame Anthony Joshua for not taking the step aside money. Too much upside. Too much upside. Like I said, you get the rematch with Usyk. If you beat him, now you're the one who's going to probably most likely fight Tyson Fury. Especially if Fury obviously gets his mandatory with Dillian Whyte out the way. That's why it's just smart for Usyk and Fury. Usyk rematch Joshua. If you beat Joshua, cool. Fury, fight Dillian Whyte. If you beat Dillian Whyte, cool. Now we have the unification. So, but once again, I don't blame Anthony Joshua for declining that step aside money. It's a low reward deal. You know what I mean? He can make more money rematching Alexander Usyk and trying to get his belts back and setting himself up to be that guy to challenge Tyson Fury or Dillian Whyte for the undisputed championships of the world. But with that being said, we're going to move on to the next topic of the stream. And it's the last bit of boxing news for this stream. Oscar Valdez, super featherweight champion Oscar Valdez, and super featherweight champion Shakur Stevenson are officially set for April 30th in Las Vegas. This is one of the bigger fights of the year that I'm personally invested in. I'm a big fan of Shakur Stevenson. I think this kid has the upside to be the next potential crossover, like Floyd Mayweather type fighter. And his skill wise, he's phenomenal. His defense mirrors a Mayweather. You know, I do defense needs a little bit more to be desired, but he's developing. You know what I mean? And he's only getting better with each passing fight. Oscar Valdez, obviously we know he's coming off of that suspension, for PEDs, he banned substance, etc., etc. It's a really good fight, you guys. I mean, I think Shakur Stevenson's defense will frustrate Valdez. I think the Valdez we saw against Miguel Berchelt will be non-existent because you cannot hit what you can't see. I think that Berchelt was clearly sitting a lame duck. And Shakur Stevenson will not be that. You know what I mean? So we're going to delve into this fight later on down the road, probably do a preview about it, do more like tail of the tape type stuff. But I just wanted to put this out there. This is definitely a fight that I'm heavily invested in. Super featherweight unification is easily Shakur Stevenson's toughest test. And in all honesty, other than Miguel Berchelt, because I think Shakur Stevenson's a better fighter than Miguel Berchelt, I think this is Oscar Valdez's biggest fight today. So we get two guys in the prime of their Shakur is not even in his prime, but you get two guys young, you know what I mean, at the right age to fight, because as we all know in fighting and boxing especially, sometimes you don't get the best fights until these guys are old and past their prime, and you're always left wondering what if they were in their prime, could this fight have been better? But we don't got to worry about that with this fight. Both of these guys are young, in great condition, possibly out Valdez, maybe in his prime at the peak of his career. Shakur, he hasn't even scratched the surface yet. This is just a really good title fight. I'm heavily invested in this fight, and I'm excited to see how this will play out. Like I said, once again, I'm gonna eventually end up doing a preview video on this, breaking down tail of the tape. The victory for both, pointing out certain things in their fight style, etc., etc. But once again, just wanted to get this out there. Oscar Valdez and Shakur Stevenson unification super featherweight unification bout set for April 30th. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. Now we got some NFL news, man. This one is so disheartening for me. Oh, Lord. Former Raiders interim coach Rich Bisaccia now lands a special teams coaching gig with the Chicago Bears, signaling a whole new era in Las Vegas. Now, all right, checking out that comment. Thanks for the comment. Facebook user, if you're still watching, hit the description, hit the description of this stream and go to StreamYard on the bottom so I can see your name. You have to click on the StreamYard link so they can read your name because you're coming from Facebook. If you don't, I can't see your name. So just throwing that out there. But thank you for the comment. And yes, as going back real quickly to that first part of the stream about Canelo Alvarez, Charlo, and Bivol, I see what you're saying. It's a matter of who's the guy who's to fight over what's money and pay-per-view buys. Yeah, exactly. And I think Charlo definitely fits that bill in terms of money and a following. Okay, so back to this topic. Once again, former Raiders interim coach Rich Bisaccia lands special teams coaching gig with the Chicago Bears, signaling a whole new era in Las Vegas. I mean, me being a Raider fan, I already kind of seen this happening. I really wish we would have kept Rich as our special teams coach / assistant head coach. He earned that right, given the circumstances that this team went through. We all know the story. I don't got to get into it. And I kind of feel like, we shitted on him. I'm not going to lie. He deserves so much better than what we were offering. I kind of feel like it was like head coach. For Rich, it was either you're going to hire me as head coach or I'm going to move on. And I feel like for Mark Davis, it was like, okay, I'm just going to interview you to give you the interview. But I know you're not my guy. I know I don't want to keep you around. So we're just going to do the interview just to say we did it and let it be that. I'll let you go your separate way if that's what you choose to do, etc., etc. So, I mean, for me, this all but assures me Jim Harbaugh is probably going to be the Raiders' new head coach. And I said it yesterday, I'm not opposed to that. I want Jim Harbaugh as my coach. But I did want us to keep Rich Bisaccia around because of the chemistry and the rapport he has with the team. I did want us to keep him as at least the special teams and head coach. The guy earned it, given the circumstances. And I just kind of feel like we didn't even try to really give him that great of an offer to even stay at that capacity. I feel like Mark Davis went into this interview when he did give Bisaccia the head coaching interview to see if he'll take it full time. I think Mark went into it with, okay, I'm just going to give you the interview, but I know you're not my guy. If you want to stay and be special teams coach, cool. If not, we're probably just going to get a whole new staff anyway. And that's just kind of how I feel it was handled. I don't feel like they really gave Bisaccia much of a choice or ultimatum. It was all but certain that Rich Bisaccia was not going to be the new the permanent head coach to the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, like I said, I understood that going in. I understood we were going to get a new head coach, and I'm not opposed to getting Jim Harbaugh or somebody like that. But I did want us to keep Bisaccia around because the players have spoken so highly of him, and he loved him and the chemistry, the voice. A voice in the locker room goes a long way. And he was that voice, especially when the shit was ridiculously tough for the Raiders. And I just feel like the Raiders I don't know, guys. I just feel like, when you have something good, you just don't let it go. Even if you don't want it, to a certain extent, that they might want it, you got to keep it to at least a lesser extent. I would have been perfectly fine with Rich Bisaccia remaining our special teams coach and giving him an assistant head coaching tag. He earned it, and he proved that he's a good football coach. He's a good football mind. It doesn't always have to take guys who can call a play to lead a locker room. Sometimes it takes just a guy who knows just how to talk and get guys motivated and wake up in the morning ready to work. And that's exactly what he did, especially in those last 4 games of the year for the Raiders. When the Raiders were 6-7, everybody in football had that team dead to rights, dead in the water. And this guy had those guys motivated, ready to get up and make a run. And that's what they did. I just feel like he kind of got shorthanded. He could have at least still been our special teams coach / assistant head coach. And I just feel like we just, they better make up for this shit. That's all I'm going to say. Jim Harbaugh better be our next head coach. He better be our next head coach. I feel like it's inevitable that that's what's happening. Because we all know, especially if a guy like Jim Harbaugh does come in to coach his team, he's going to want his own staff. So I just feel like the Raiders don't let Bisaccia walk out the door if that wasn't the case. But unfortunately, it just sucks. But, me personally as a Raider fan, I want to wish Rich Bisaccia the best of luck in his new job with Chicago. Hopefully I get to see Rich be a head coach somewhere. I think he's earned the right. I think, he's a good football coach. And I think that like I said, he's deserved it. When teams go and look at Rich Bisaccia's resume, you automatically look up this season. And that should be the reason why you want this guy to be on your staff and possibly eventually be your head coach. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. Keeping it on my Raiders. Josh McDaniels, Patriots offensive coordinator, interviews for Raiders head coaching position. But as I just read this morning, is no longer the favorite to land the position. What does that say? John Harbaugh will be the Raiders' new head coach. But we're going to stick on Josh McDaniels here. So, Raiders obviously interviewed him and decided he is no longer the favorite for the position. Now, me personally, as a fan of the Raiders, I did not like the fact that we even would interview him. I don't like the track record for Patriots coaches, coordinators. They have a very bad track record. I've always got the interpretation of McDaniels that he's childish. I definitely didn't like the move he pulled on the Colts. That's the main reason why I'm like, I don't want this guy. He doesn't know how to make up his mind. And granted, I'm not going to go on his first coaching stint with Denver as the catalyst as to why I wouldn't want him as my head coach. I'm just going on the fact that these Patriot coaches are so used to a certain way in a certain culture in a certain environment. And I feel like that type of environment is not to be brought into this organization. I feel like that type of environment is very strict, very bland. And you can sit there and say, oh, well, won them 6 championships. Yeah, cool, but that doesn't work for everybody. It doesn't. And you've seen it. That's Bill Belichick. That's not these guys. You see it. Every time a Patriots coordinator goes somewhere else and becomes a head coach, they fail. They fail. The only one I can say has some success and didn't deserve to get fired was Brian Flores. And I would like to see him get a head coaching position somewhere else because I think he's actually one of the better, probably the best coach that has ever came out of the Patriots stable. I just don't buy Josh McDaniels as a head coach. I think he's a great play caller, and that's evident. He can damn sure call plays. But in terms of being a leader of men, in terms of being a leader and being a great decision maker, I personally don't see Josh McDaniels as that type of guy. I just don't. Never have. Never have. And I feel like maybe he doesn't believe that in himself neither. Because if you did, why isn't he the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts? Why did he turn that job down? If he was so confident in his head coaching capabilities, And that's another reason. What are we going to do? Okay, hire him, and then what, 24 hours later, he's going to sit there and say, oh, sorry, Raiders, I'm going back to New England. I don't want no parts of that. I don't want no parts of a New England coach. I even heard us talking about interviewing Gerard Mayo. I mean, history repeats itself. New England coordinators don't make good coaches. They're not Bill Belichick. Point blank, period. They are not Bill Belichick. Just because they come from the Bill Belichick and the New England Patriot tree does not mean that they are Bill Belichick and they have the genius that he has. So with that being said, I'm actually relieved to find out this morning Josh McDaniels is no longer the favorite to land a head coaching position for my Raiders. I just don't see him as a head coach. I don't think he's a good play caller. I'll take him as offensive coordinator, but as a head coach, I don't know. He leaves much to be desired for me. You know, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that he's no longer the favorite, and it all but certain to me that Jim Harbaugh will be the next coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Because I will say this: if you're not looking to hire Harbaugh, I don't see how you move off of Josh McDaniels, given the fact that he does come from a winning culture, and it's looking like we're definitely looking for an offensive-minded coach. So I will leave it at that. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic, guys. More NFL news. A little bit of NFL/NBA, a little bit. Just a little bit. NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal calls for Deion Sanders to coach the Dallas Cowboys in the future. My thoughts. I like it. I don't like it for the football world. I don't like it for my team. I don't like it for everybody else's team. But for the Dallas Cowboys, I love it. And the reason why I love it is because Prime knows how to win. And Prime is that type of guy that failure is not an option. And Dallas, for so long, has needed a guy like that. And we all know what the problem is. It's Jerry Jones. He don't want a guy who's going to set him straight. He doesn't want a guy who's going to tell him what he needs to hear. But maybe because of the love he has for Deion Sanders and the fact that he did win a ring with Dallas. And he did wear that star on his helmet. Maybe, just maybe, Jerry might take this in consideration. I would love this move for the Dallas Cowboys. Why? Because Coach Prime demands respect and he demands winning. He doesn't demand failure. He doesn't accept failure. Do I like it for the rest of the league? No. But for the Cowboys, I love it. Why? Because he's just Deion Sanders. You see what he's doing down there with them boys in Jackson in that HBCU college. You see what he's doing down there. Players will want to come play for Dallas. That's the biggest thing. Is that Deion Sanders would be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. They would attract so many that would want to play for Deion Sanders. They would instantly become a powerhouse again. And he would whip those boys into shape. Why? Because he comes from that old school. That old school winning mentality. He's a winner. He's a winner. He has won at every level he's played. Baseball, football, coaching now, college level. He's getting top recruits to leave these big schools to come to Jackson State. If he can do that at the college level, he can't get the biggest and best free agents to go join the Dallas Cowboys and turn them into the Cowboys that he played for, the championship winning Cowboys. I believe so. I think he is the perfect candidate for Dallas. And I said it yesterday on the show. Mike McCarthy got to go. Now, I'm not saying that Deon's going to be their coach this upcoming year, but maybe after next year, especially if the Cowboys underperform or if they make it to the playoffs and flop again, I can see that happening. And he would instantly make them a contender. Instantly. Because he would draw so much free agency attention. Guys would want to put the star on. They would want to put that helmet with the star on it on their head because of Deion Sanders being the coach of that team. Because they know the type of attitude and the type of style of coaching he brings. That winning mentality. Failure is not an option. If you are not going to play the game right, get the hell off my field. If you are not going to produce, you will not play. Simple. And I feel like that's what the Dallas Cowboys need. The last time they had that type of coach, that no-nonsense type of force field driven leader was Jimmy Johnson. And they got 2 championships out of him. 3, really. But we all know the story with that. But I love this idea about Shaq. I do. I'm on board with it. I agree with Shaq. I would love to see Deion Sanders because he just fits. He just does. He just fits with the Cowboys. The star on the helmet, the whole nuance of supposedly being America's team, he fits that. He fits that. And I think those guys will get up and wake up every day and give him maximum effort. Something I feel like they don't give Mike McCarthy. That's why I think Deion Sanders would be a successful coach in the NFL for the Dallas Cowboys if he were to ever assume that position. All right, guys, we're going to move on to the last part of the stream. It's all right, Don boy. It's all right, man. Look ahead to Conference Championship weekend. Chiefs, Bengals, 49ers, Rams. As we all know, the Chiefs and the Bengals will be competing for the AFC Championship for a trip to the Super Bowl, as well as the 49ers and Rams will be doing the same thing in their respective conference for the NFC title game for their chance to win, a chance to play in the Super Bowl. I'm going to start off with the Chiefs and Bengals. I feel like it's all but certain the Chiefs are expected to win this game. I think they should win this game based on experience being in this magnitude of a game for 4 straight years. Obviously the team they have. Excuse me. Now we'll say this. It's going to be interesting to see what's going on with Tyrann Mathieu if he'll play in this game. I think that could be a key blow if he doesn't play in this game to Kansas City secondary. And I think it will open up opportunities for Cincinnati's passing game to, flourish. But if I'm Cincinnati, I'm running Joe Mixon all night long. And this is why I say this. And I feel like teams have gotten away from this from the Chiefs. It's just running it down their throats. Granted, the Chiefs have gotten better, stopping the run and playing better defensively in the second half of the year, especially since they got Melvin Ingram. But I feel like if you just go at them, just run at them, wear that defense down. Their secondary is still not that great. It just isn't, especially if Tyrann Mathieu isn't in the game. I feel like if I'm Cincinnati, Joe Mixon has to touch the ball 20-plus times to have a chance to win this game. Wear that defense out. Keep Mahomes off of the field. But most importantly, those drives that you are milking the clock and moving the ball down the field, turn them into touchdowns. You can't settle for field goals against this team. You can't. You just can't. But if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, I'm using a heavy dose of Joe Mixon. I just am. I would like to see Joe Mixon get 20, 25 touches coming out of the backfield in this game. I think that is the only shot, as if they run the ball, chew clock, keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, keep their defense rested, and capitalize and score touchdowns every possession that they have. Now, on the Chiefs end, I think it's very important that we continue to see guys like Byron Pringle step up. I think it's almost all but certain now that Byron Pringle is the number 2 wide receiver there in Kansas City. He is in the second half of the season, has been utilized a lot more. You see the potentials, big body guy, big body receiver. And I personally think he's going to be the key to this game for Kansas City's offense, because we know so much attention is going to go to Travis Kelce. We know so much attention is going to go to Tyreek Hill. And the Bengals offense, though they can be had, the Bengals defense, the Bengals defense, though they can be had, they're not that bad. They're not that bad. They just can be had every so often. And with so much attention going towards Tyreek and Travis Kelce, I just have a feeling that it sets up for Byron Pringle to be the X factor for the Chiefs offense. Now, granted, Tyreek Hill, if you watch what A.J. Brown did to the secondary of the Bengals last week, it's not to say that Tyreek Hill won't have a big game. He might. I just feel like the Bengals will be more prepared for that than they were last week, as opposed to with A.J. Brown. I feel like the Bengals defense was more worried about Julio Jones beating them than A.J. Brown. And fortunately for them, it worked out for them because A.J. Brown was smoking them. But I'm going with the Chiefs in this game. I do think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be another shootout for Kansas City. I don't think it's going to be a defensive battle like Cincinnati had last week. I think they'll definitely score more points. I think that this game has a total. I'm going to go 34-31 Kansas City. I think this game has the potential to shoot out. I think it's going to be a fun, exciting game. I expect every playmaker to, at some point, make spectacular plays. I just see this being a fun game. I don't see this being like how Cincinnati's game was last week, where it was a defensive battle between them and the Titans. I think this game they're going to put up a lot of points, and we're going to have fun watching them. But I will say, given the experience in these situations, in these games, I'm going with the Chiefs slightly by 3 points. 34-31, that's my final score prediction for the Chiefs and the Bengals. Now we're going to move on to the 49ers and the Rams. Oh, man. The Rams scare me because I want to say they're going to win this game. And the reason why is because they lost to San Francisco twice in the season. And the third time, sometimes is a charm. Sometimes when you do lose to a team twice or once in the regular season and then you happen to play them in the playoffs, because of those times you played them, you are able to go back and make the adjustments and beat them this time around. We've seen it with the Buccaneers doing it to the Saints last year, etc. So, I have the Rams winning this game. However, the key for me for the Rams is to get the ball out of Matthew Stafford's hands quickly. They have to because of that vaunted pass rush of San Francisco. But also, when you have a lead, don't blow it. Don't take your foot off the gas pedal. They did the same thing at the end of the season with San Francisco, and San Francisco came back and won that game. And they did the same thing last week and almost lost to Tampa. The biggest thing for the Rams is when you get ahead, stay ahead. Keep your foot on the gas pedal. If you have things working for you, stick with what's working for you. Don't get away from it. And don't make costly mistakes like coughing up the football, turning the ball over. Rams can do that. They will be going to the Super Bowl. Swing. Sounds easier said than done, but it's not impossible. And I think they will do it. I just think they're hitting their stride at the right time. And that pass at the end of the game to Cooper Kupp last week showed that I just feel like they want it. They really just want it. Matthew Stafford wants it. And he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that he gets to his first Super Bowl. And now we're going to move over to the opposite side, the 49ers. It's obviously their running game and their defense that has gotten them to this point. But I will say this, in order to win this game for the 49ers, Jimmy G has to play better. He has been fortunate to have 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in these playoffs and they're in this game. Jimmy G has to play better. He has to. They will not win this game if he goes for 180 or 200 something yards but no touchdowns and an interception. It will not work. They need Jimmy G to show up in this game. Jimmy G is going to be the X factor for the 49ers. Not the running game, not the defense. We know what that can do. We know what the running game in San Francisco. We know what the defense can do. We know what Deebo Samuel can do. This game for the San Francisco 49ers is going to solely come on the shoulders of their quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. He has to be the X factor. He has to be the guy that's going to put the ball in his hands and make the right decisions with the football. Because if he does not, they will not win this game. Especially that I feel the Rams' defense has gotten better. Granted, that's kind of that second half collapse, But granted, that was more of the offense coughing up the ball as well. Can't expect your defense to, remain productive when you're coughing up the ball, giving the opposing team short fields to work with, and then your defense got to keep going out there and keep going out there. But the Rams' defense has gotten better. And I feel like they're going to if they shut down the run, Jimmy G is going to have to play the game of his life for the 49ers to win. Otherwise, I just don't feel like they will win this game. I don't. Especially being that this is your division rival, they know each other so well. I see this being a defensive battle. I don't see this being a high-scoring game. This is the defensive game that I think we're going to see. Not the other game. This is going to be the defensive game. I got this total score being 20-17 in favor of the Rams. I'm going with a lot of 3-point spreads here, but that's just how I feel. I feel like these games are going to be neck and neck. I just feel like one game is going to be higher scoring total, and the other one's going to be a low scoring affair. Given the situation that the Niners and Rams are division rivals, they play each other 2 times a year, so they know each other pretty well. And I feel like both defenses are playing at their best right now. It's just for the Rams defense to maintain that level for 4 quarters, the offense can't turn the ball over and they can't stall out on drives. They got to let the defense rest when they have a chance to let them rest. But for the 49ers, like I said, it's going to solely come down to Jimmy G. He has to make a decision whether he wants to play scared quarterback and not go to the Super Bowl, or look like an elite quarterback and fight like hell to get his team into the Super Bowl. Because everything else, in my opinion, looks good for the Niners. The defense looks good. You got the playmakers. The quarterback is leaves much to be desired. Jimmy G is going to have to play the best game of his career. Simple and plain. He's going to have to play the best game of his career in order for the 49ers to win. And hope that the Rams make a lot of mistakes, which I don't see happening. But, all right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up for this episode of the 717 Sports Chat Live. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support is greatly, greatly appreciated, as well as hit that notification icon so you get all the latest content updates. Go live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc. So, once again, head over to the YouTube channel, hit that like button, subscribe. Your support is greatly, greatly appreciated. I'm your host, Marcus James Witherspoon. I'm out of here for the day, guys. I will be back at you tomorrow. I'm gonna probably do like a little pregame, warm up for the Chiefs, Bengals, or whatever, etc. You know what I mean? But haven't decided yet. You know what I mean? We'll see what tomorrow brings. But if not, if I don't go live tomorrow or at all this weekend, you will catch me again on Monday at 8:30 in the morning, from 8:30 to 10:30. So, hope to see you guys there. Hit the comment section. Let me know your guys' opinion on these topics. I want to know what you guys think. As again, 717 Sports Chat Live. Hit the YouTube channel. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Support is greatly, greatly appreciated. As well as hit the notification icon to get all the latest content updates. Once again, I'm your host, Marcus James Witherspoon. This is 717 Sports Chat Live. I'm out of here for the day, guys. Everybody enjoy your weekend.